Welcome to The Explainer. I am so excited you're joining us today because we're going on a mission to just cut right through all that science fiction hype. We're going to look at the real, tangible impact of artificial intelligence. Look, right now it is super easy to get totally distracted by generative chatbots or, virtual avatars. But honestly, the most profound transformations are happening quietly, right inside the engine rooms of our legacy industries. These are markets that are vastly underestimated by the general public, but AI is literally already rewiring how our physical and digital worlds operate.
To put the sheer scale of this whole thing into perspective, get this. According to recent economic analysis, generative AI alone could add up to $4.4 trillion, and yes, that is trillion with a T, annually to the global economy. I mean, that's just a mind-boggling number. And this isn't some distant, abstract future we're talking about here. The demand for these technologies is going to grow incredibly fast before the end of this decade, simply because they are solving really complex, really expensive problems right this very second.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll be exploring 5 legacy industries being turned completely upside down by AI: cybersecurity, healthcare, finance, logistics, and agriculture. And then finally, we'll zoom out and look at the broader landscape of human productivity. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, AI, Cybersecurity and Defense, the Autonomous Immune System. So the harsh reality we're facing today is that hackers are already out there using automated AI to launch some incredibly sophisticated attacks. And when the offense is using artificial intelligence, those traditional rule-based defenses we used to rely on, they just can't keep up. So to fight back, the cybersecurity market is absolutely exploding. We're talking about a jump from roughly $25 billion in 2025 to over $100 billion by 2032. Enterprises are just racing to fortify their digital resilience before 2030 rolls around. And interestingly enough, within this massive boom, fraud detection is actually the fastest growing application. Why? Well, it's driven by the immediate need to combat things like identity theft and those crazy deepfake scams we keep hearing about. To see what this looks like in the real world, let's look at Darktrace. They're a leading company using something called agentic AI. So instead of waiting for a human IT worker to, wake up, grab their morning coffee, and check the logs, these autonomous AI agents are actually modeled on the human immune system. They continuously monitor network traffic, and they can make instant autonomous decisions to isolate and neutralize zero-day threats in real time. It's like having a microscopic security guard that never, ever sleeps. So our key takeaway here is this. AI is essentially evolving cybersecurity from a static, reactive shield into a proactive, autonomous immune system. It literally fights AI with AI, creating this incredibly dynamic defense mechanism that learns and adapts second by second. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, healthcare and medical breakthroughs beyond the human eye. Now, there's this common fear floating around that AI is just going to completely replace human doctors. But honestly, the real story here is superhuman enhancement. Take radiology, for example. Doctors are incredible at pattern recognition, obviously, but deep learning neural networks, they give doctors this massive boost. These models are trained on gigantic datasets to spot the faintest anatomical deviations that might indicate a tumor. We're talking patterns the human eye might completely miss. And once it finds something, the AI can even simulate various radiotherapy treatment scenarios to predict the absolute best possible clinical outcome. And the real-world momentum happening here? It's staggering. And frankly, totally underestimated by most people. Just look at Adaptive Biosystems. They've launched this protein engineering foundry that actually combines generative AI with robotics and microfluidics. What does that do? Well, it rapidly validates new protein designs, massively accelerating drug discovery. That's a huge deal. On top of that, we're seeing AI paired with CRISPR genetic treatments to target diseases right at their root. We're even seeing autonomous drones delivering personalized medicine directly to remote, hard-to-reach areas. So, our key takeaway for healthcare is absolutely vital. AI isn't replacing doctors. The best, most revolutionary outcomes happen when AI provides that superhuman pattern recognition and scenario simulation, all while keeping human domain experts firmly in the loop to make those final critical clinical decisions.
That brings us to Section 3, Finance and Wealth Management, Dynamic Portfolios.
For decades, the finance industry has essentially run on static, rules-based systems. But today, those legacy frameworks are being totally dismantled and replaced by dynamic, self-learning AI models. If you want immediate proof of AI's business value in the banking world, just look at Ally Bank. When they brought in the GitLab AI platform to weave artificial intelligence right into their software development, they increased their ability to update and deploy software by 55%.
55%. That translates to some massive efficiency gains and really significant cost savings.
And all across wealth platforms right now, AI is taking structured market data and combining it with unstructured data like news articles or even social media to wildly deepen client personalization. We're seeing real-time portfolio rebalancing. We're seeing predictive analytics that can literally flag when a client's behavior diverges from their usual risk profile. And of course, there's incredibly smart compliance monitoring to detect fraud. But, and this is a big but, unlocking all of this personalization requires rigorous data governance. You have to have strict adherence to privacy regulations, like Regulation SP, to keep client data totally safe. Which leads to our key takeaway for finance. AI replaces those old static rules with dynamic, real-time adaptation. It is continuously learning from new inputs, but unlocking this much power absolutely requires strict data governance and airtight cybersecurity protections. All right, let's shift gears to the physical world. Section 4, Logistics and Autonomous Robotics, the Physical Virtual Link. It's time to strip away all those sci-fi tropes of, humanoid robots taking over the world. The real revolution happening right now is this critical link between software and some very unglamorous but highly profitable hardware. On one side, we have these complex digital twin warehouse layouts, and on the other side, the actual autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs, that are physically moving our global supply chains today. AI-enabled perception and decision support systems basically act as the brain here. They map the digital routing flows directly to the physical robots. This allows them to navigate dynamically, avoid obstacles, and optimize their paths entirely in real time. The results are incredibly grounded. Warehouses aren't now using edge vision to read labels in terrible lighting or to instantly flag damaged goods. You've got reinforcement learning agents handling dynamic routing and batching. And the payoff? We're talking double-digit improvements in throughput and a massive, massive reduction in the distance human pickers have to travel, especially when you compare it to the old rule-based methods. So, your key takeaway for logistics: the true revolution isn't just about building a smart robot. It's that tightly coupled physical virtual link. It's merging AI decision-making with the actual physical mobility of warehouse robots to align everything with these optimized virtual models in near real time. Let's head outside for Section 5, Agriculture and Smart Farming, Taming Unpredictability. You might be a little surprised to learn this, but farms are actually one of the absolute most challenging environments on the planet for AI and robotics to master. But despite how hard it is, just look at where the money is going. This market was valued at roughly $518 million in 2017, but estimates project the AI agriculture market to hit $2.6 billion by 2025. Investment is just pouring in as we head toward 2030 because the potential upside of optimizing crop yields and automating all that backbreaking labor, it's just way too massive to ignore. But why is farming so hard for an AI? Well, think about a factory floor. It's structured, it's simple, it's predictable. Now think about an agricultural field. It's a hostile, muddy mess, right? You've got changing 3D paths, unpredictable weather. There's extreme variability from one single crop to the next. You can't just take a robot that picks apples, tell it to go harvest lettuce, and expect it to work. It would probably just have a complete digital meltdown. But here is the secret to why the market is booming anyway. You don't actually need a perfectly autonomous sci-fi robot to add value. If we apply the Pareto principle here, even just partial autonomy, like automating the repetitive 80% of tasks, think weeding or basic monitoring, that alone adds massive value and cuts costs today. You don't have to wait for fully autonomous farming robots to become a reality to see the ROI. Finally, let's zoom out for Section 6. The next productivity frontier: changing the anatomy of work. So we've seen how AI is transforming legacy industries right now, today. But what does this all mean for the anatomy of human work across the board? Because of these explosive advancements in natural language processing and generative AI, research now estimates that half, yes, half, of today's work activities could be automated by roughly 2045. And the crazy part? That timeline has been pulled forward a full decade from previous estimates. Look, the era of AI is just beginning, and it is fundamentally reshaping the productivity frontier. So the question isn't really whether AI will change your industry. The question is, how quickly will you adapt? Are you ready? Well, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you in the next one.